So this video isn't the video that I was gonna put up this week. I haven't had a chance to finish the final parts for the mini yet and get the last video filmed and edited for that, because I'm just way too busy this week to try and get through all that, as well as everything else that I've got going on in the shop. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of a run through of some paint that I did on this Mercedes. I can't remember quite exactly when it was I did it. The paint code for this is 996. It's quite a nice colour. It was quite poor for coverage. We don't have colour match primers at the shop at the moment. This would have been ideal to use a darker primer rather than this light grey Meeper stuff that we've got at the moment. But with a little bit of perseverance and a few coats, this will cover up fine without any issues. Now for the base coat, I'm using our Lessenol system. It's straight off the camera. It's come up with a bang on match from the camera, so I thought I'd give this a go. And we're almost going edge to edge on this, even though it is a pearl red, because I know our camera matches are spot on, and when it comes up with a match that is bob on with the camera system, then usually the computer is right, and I've never had one that's been a bad match so far. And for those of you guys that have been asking to see one of these finished, at the end of the video there is a little bit of a walk around of the car outside. Now I'm using the Ego 190 for base, because I want to try and keep this nice and tight. I want to just keep off the edge of that panel if I can. So you'll see there how I'm just turning the gun away slightly and just trying to be a little bit more accurate on the very edge of my spray. Now the reason for that is purely that I do want to keep it away from that edge. But as you'll see now, as I'm full triggering this, it's got no problem with the 1.2 setup that I've got in this in putting a real nice full coat down. Now with the Lessenol system, you do want to put almost like a fine first wet coat down. That's what I found best application wise for this, and then use the blower to dry it down with, or you could just leave it in the booth a little bit longer to air dry through. But the best thing to do is to use a proper air blower on it, and always try and blow along, not directly at the panel. So blowing along the car at an angle like this will help it dry down that little bit faster. It's air movement that dries water base down, so you don't want to be, and plus when it's wet, you don't want to be putting air at high pressure directly at it. Going along the panel will dry the whole area a lot faster than just pointing directly at the panel. Now the second coat, I can go a lot heavier on this coat. Now you'll see after the first coat we've got some coverage there, but it's not amazing, and even after this second coat the coverage isn't amazing. Now I am sort of just tweaking and working my blends into each coat, so I am just taking it round the bumper corner that tiny bit like there, and I'm just carefully blending it up the quarter as I'm doing it. So this will be coat number 3. Now this took 4 coats to fully cover, and then I just did a drop coat. Now like I say, if you had colour match primers, so you could have mixed up, you know, say a bit of like dark red, or you could have used a very dark grey or a black for this, then this would have coloured up a lot faster. The system that we've got in at the moment doesn't have colour match primers as an option, or you could say have used, you know, a normal grey high build and then used a colour match sealer as a wet on wet to put down before you coloured it up. Our new system that we're looking at, and I think we've just finally got to the stage where we've agreed that we are putting that in and everything's been sort of finalised, that will come with colour match primers, so, or the option to colour match primers should I say. So when we do get that system installed and everything's going along, then I will be making a lot more videos on some of those more technical things, like matching your primer shades and also your primer colours to suit poor covering colours like this better, and the best way of going about it, and how to mix them, how to apply them, you know, the flash off times and all them. We're going to go through a lot of things like that in a lot more detail, because it'll give us a lot broader range with this other system. Now for clear, I'm using the WALCOM Carbonio 360. I'm still running the 1.2 in this. I've not changed it over yet. I found it is nice for clear. I'm running this at 2 bar. I've got it at, I think, 3 turns out with the 1.2. First coat, nice and light. I just want a full covered wet coat on this first coat. I don't need it too heavy. These Mercs these days don't have the most amazing finish on them anyway, so you have to be a little bit careful when you're painting them not to get it too nice. This particular one almost looked like it had almost like a lot of dry back in the factory paintwork in this, which, working in a factory previously myself for a short time, I did see that happen quite often when things have been overbaked or when things hadn't been flashed off quite long enough. Sometimes you would get that little bit of dry back, so it was a bit awkward to try and match that finish up to it. I had to leave it a touch finer and drier than normally would to try and make sure that it matched in with the rest of the car. So the first coat, lay that down. It's a really nice fine coat. I'm leaving it, I'd say around about 10 minutes between coats, and then we're just going to come in and put our second coat on. Now we want this a full wet covered coat, the same as before. Obviously that first coat is already down, so we can go a lot heavier with the second coat. Load the panel up a little bit. I want to try and match that finish in, so you will see I'm taking a little bit more time to make sure that I've got the paint where I want it and I've got the kind of finish that I want. I'm not going to be rushing around the job. There's no point rushing, because if I put too much on, I can't take it off, but I can always add a little bit more on if I need to. And when I come to the end of this clear coat stage in a minute, you will see there's one or two little areas where I just go around and tickle up and just add that little touch of extra clear, like across that top there. And in a minute, I will come again back to that rear corner and just add a little bit more clear, just to make sure that everything's wet up enough and I've got that nice even finish that I want all over. Now the clear coat that I was using for this was the Multimix 2. I have had no issues with this whatsoever. As long as you put down that nice light coat first and then go for that full wet coat, you have no issues as far as application, solvent pop or any dye back under bake or anything like that. It's absolutely spot on. Give it 10 minutes before you bake it and there is no issues with it whatsoever. So here's a little bit of a walk around of the finished product in the booth after a bake. So you can see there's no gloss drop or anything whatsoever on this panel. This clear performs perfectly well, and we have had no issues. I mean, I think I've used about 15 litres of this so far and had no problems whatsoever. So this is the finished car outside. Now it has got a dent on the very front edge of that quarter panel that I've just done, but we've got a PDR guy coming to do that. That'll save us blending into the next panel. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again soon for the next one. Bye for now.